All right, topic of the day. How did you know when you were ready to retire from the military? All right, so in my time in the Marine Corps, I've probably spoken to hundreds of veterans and retirees. And in conversations with these folks, I usually come up with this same question to a lot of them is how did you know when you were ready to retire? How did you know that it was your time to leave the military? Okay. And a lot of them, especially here on the Green Logbook, I talk to a lot of folks about the Green Logbook and also the podcast I co-host, the Military Retirement Podcast, which if you haven't already checked it out, I fully recommend that you do. Like now, well, maybe after this video. And a lot of them come up with a lot of these different answers, but I took out my Green Logbook here and I wrote down the most common ones, which I'm about to share with you right now. How do you know when you're ready to retire? All right, number one, you've accomplished what you set out to do in uniform. All right, whether that was a number that you threw out there, you only wanted to do 20 years in the military or 25 years or whatever, and maybe you hit that milestone, or maybe it was just a billet that you wanted to fill. Whatever it might be, you accomplished what you set out to do and you were done. You're ready to retire. Number two, you hit a promotion ceiling. This one goes out mostly to my E9s out there, my Chief Warrant Officer 5s, maybe some colonels who know that they're not going to be putting on a star, or some Navy captains. All right, you've hit that ceiling. All right, there's nowhere else to go really. So what do? You're just bouncing around from billet to billet to billet, PCSing here and there. Maybe you want to see what civilian life is like after military service. Number three, you don't want to PCS anymore, or maybe you like where you're currently living. All right, that happened to me. We stayed near my last duty station. I retired out of here. And maybe you're living somewhere where you really want to be, like in Texas or, Florida, California, Hawaii, wherever it might be, somewhere really nice. And you don't want to move. You just don't want to do another PCS move. I completely understand. Number four, you're financially comfortable and it's time to move on. All right. A lot of us have that number in our head. Okay. Maybe it's $1 million mark. Maybe it's $500,000. But whatever makes you feel financially comfortable. All right. And once you hit that number, maybe it's time to check out the civilian world, because maybe you can make more money out there. Maybe you just don't want to work at all after military, right? Number five, stress of the military life becomes overwhelming. We all know that the military can be stressful. Okay. You got missions, you got battle rhythms, you got deadlines. You have to perform at all times. You got like physical fitness tests, everything like that. Sometimes you have duty, you have to, depending on what your MOS is, it could be physically or mentally demanding. And the stresses can really get to you, all right? And that's sometimes enough to make people want to drop their papers or maybe separate from the military as soon as possible. All right, number six. You've been forced to retire, or maybe you have a pending medical separation or medical retirement. We can't do much about that one, right? I know several folks who have been medically retired. Maybe you're pending something like administrative or judicial, unfortunately. That tends to happen in the military. And at that point, you have to figure life out pretty quickly. Number seven, a career change. Maybe you have gotten some education while you were in the military. Maybe you have gotten certain certifications and you feel like maybe instead of being a cook in the Army, and I'm just throwing this scenario out there, maybe instead of being a cook in the Army, you want to utilize your cybersecurity certification or degree and do that instead. Because that's maybe where your passion lies. So you drop your papers or you separate from the military and you go forward with that career change. All right. Number eight, it's financially better for you to go in the civilian sector. Okay. It kind of goes hand in hand with number seven here. And I see a lot of this when I talk to the folks who worked in the air wings, like aircraft mechanics, or a lot of like IT guys or IT folks. They can definitely make a lot more money in the civilian sector as opposed to what the military pays them, right? So maybe you want to put your knowledge and your experience to use outside of the military, and maybe you want to make that financial decision for you and your family. Number nine, policy or leadership issues. Sometimes you butt heads with your leadership. Sometimes there's issues that you don't really agree with, and when that comes up and you're not going to win, it's time to move on, right? And maybe that just kind of forces you to drop your papers and say, hey, look, let me find out what civilian life is like, because this is just not it for me. And lastly, number 10, and this one applies to a lot of folks, and it definitely applied to me. You just woke up one morning and you knew it was time to move on for whatever reason. It could have been everything from like 1 to 9 that I just named, but you just woke up one morning and said, you know what, I'm tired of, doing the whole PFT or, physical fitness tests. I'm tired of weighing in, for every 6 months, or I'm tired of, whatever the case may be, being on duty, getting calls, dealing with knuckleheads, this and that, leadership issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can go on and on. But you just woke up one morning and said, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I'm eligible to retire, or I have come to the end of my enlistment and I don't want to re-enlist, or I don't want to continue on past my 20 years. I totally respect that. You just drop your papers, or you let your command know that you're ready to go. So there it is, the top 10 reasons, or the most common reasons I come across when I ask somebody, how did you know you were ready to retire or to leave military service? And if you happen to have another reason, please comment below. Let me know, because I'm curious. And again, if you have not checked out the Military Retirement Podcast, you're wrong. Go over there and check it out right now. We're on Apple, Spotify, and also YouTube. I'll throw a link up here somewhere. And if you are currently in the retirement process, check out the Military Retirement Group on Facebook. Everything you need under the Files tab. We got a great community of folks who are in the process of retiring or have retired, and you can definitely get some good information there, and probably some mentorship as well. I'm on there. So is my co-host John from the Military Retirement Podcast. If you're not there, you're welcome to come check it out. Military Retirement Group.